Welcome back to Gretta's Grimoire with 2 M's. Thank you for turning the page. I have nothing else to say before we begin today's story, so without further ado, The Wolf and the 7 Little Kids. There was once upon a time an old goat who had 7 little kids and loved them with all the love of a mother for her children. One day she wanted to go into the forest and fetch some food. So she called all 7 to her and said, "Dear children, I have to go into the forest. Be on your guard against the wolf. If he comes in, he will devour you all, skin, hair, and all. The wretch often disguises himself, but you will know him at once by his rough voice and his black feet." The kids said, "Dear mother, we will take good care of ourselves. You may go away without any anxiety." Then the old one bleated and went on her way with an easy mind. It was not long before someone knocked at the door and called, "Open the door, dear children, your mother is here, and has brought something back with her for each of you." But the little kids knew that it was the wolf by the rough voice. "We will not open the door," cried they. "You are not our mother. She has a soft, pleasant voice, but your voice is rough. You are the wolf." Then the wolf went away to a shopkeeper and bought himself a great lump of chalk, ate this, and made his voice soft with it. Then he came back, knocked at the door of the house, and cried, "Open the door, dear children. Your mother is here and has brought something back with her for each of you." But the wolf had laid his black paws against the window, and the children saw them and cried, "We will not open the door. Our mother has not black feet like you. You are the wolf." Then the wolf ran to a baker and said, "I have hurt my feet. Rub some dough over them for me." And when the baker had rubbed his feet over, he ran to the miller and said, "Strew some white meal over my feet for me." The miller thought to himself, "The wolf wants to deceive someone," and refused. But the wolf said, "If you will not do it, I will devour you." Then the miller was afraid and made his paws white for him. Yes, that's how people are. So now the wretch went for the 3rd time to the door, knocked at it, and said, "Open the door for me, children. Your dear little mother has come home and has brought every one of you something back from the forest with her." The little kids cried, "First show us your paws, that we may know if you are our dear little mother." Then he put his paws in through the window, and when the kids saw that they were white, they believed all he said was true, and opened the door. But who should come in but the wolf? They were terrified and wanted to hide themselves. One sprang under the table, the 2nd into the bed, the 3rd into the stove, the 4th into the kitchen, the 5th into the cupboard, the 6th under the washing bowl, and the 7th into the clock case. But the wolf found them and used no great ceremony. One after the other, he swallowed them down his throat. The youngest, who was in the clock case, was the only one he did not find. When the wolf had satisfied his appetite, he took himself off, laid himself down under a tree in the green meadow outside, and began to sleep. Soon afterwards, the old goat came home again from the forest. Ah, what a sight she saw there! The door stood wide open, the table, chairs, and benches were thrown down, the washing bowl lay broken to pieces, and the quilts and pillows were pulled off the bed. She sought her children, but they were nowhere to be found. She called them one after another by name, but no one answered. At last, when she came to the youngest, a soft voice cried, "Dear mother, I am in the clock case." She took the kid out, and it told her that the wolf had come and eaten all the others. Then you may imagine how she wept over her poor children. At length, in her grief, she went out, and the youngest kid ran with her. When they came to the meadow, there the wolf lay by the tree, and snored so loudly that the branches shook. She looked at him on every side, and saw that something was moving and struggling in his gorged belly. "Ah, heavens," said she, "is it possible that my poor children, whom he has swallowed down for his supper, can still be alive?" Then the kid had to run home and fetch scissors and a needle and thread, and the goat cut open the monster's stomach. And hardly had she made one cut, than one little kid thrust its head out. And when she cut farther, all 6 sprang out, one after another, and were all still alive, and had suffered no injury whatever, for in his greediness the monster had swallowed them down whole. What rejoicing there was! They embraced their dear mother and jumped like a sailor at his wedding. The mother, however, said, "Now go and look for some big stones, and we will fill the wicked beast's stomach with them while Now go and look for some big stones, and we will fill the wicked beast's stomach with them while he is still asleep." Then the 7 kids dragged the stones there with all speed, and put as many of them into his stomach as they could get in. And the mother sewed him up again in the greatest haste, so that he was not aware of anything, and never once stirred. When the wolf at length had had his sleep out, he got on his legs, and as the stones in his stomach made him very thirsty, he wanted to go to a well to drink. But when he began to walk and move about, the stones in his stomach knocked against each other and rattled. Then cried he, "What rumbles and tumbles against my poor bones? I thought 'twas 6 kids, but it's not, but big stones." And when he got to the well and stooped over the water and was just about to drink, the heavy stones made him fall in, and there was no hope, but he had to drown miserably. When the 7 kids saw that, they came running to the spot and cried aloud, "The wolf is dead, the wolf is dead," and danced for joy round about the well with their mother. Okay, every time I read it, I'm shocked that there are goats. I always think, the 7 little kids. Children. Okay. Nope, they're goats. I keep forgetting that. Every time. And honestly, it's like Little Red Riding Hood, but with goats. Like, almost the same plot. Except, no, actually, almost the same plot. Because here's the thing. The goats told the wolf exactly what he wanted to know so that he could hurt them. They said, "Oh, our mom has a sweet voice. You have a rough voice. Therefore, you're not our mom." And so he's like, "Okay, I can go immediately fix that so I can deceive you better." And Little Red Riding Hood, almost the exact same. "I'm going exactly over here 2 miles down the path to Granny's house here so I can feed her." And the wolf's like, "Chill, gonna immediately go do that, and so I can eat you later, instead of eating you now, for some reason." And then, honestly, here's the thing. Here's the thing. There are people that are going to hurt you in this world. There will be people who will do their very best to trick you into thinking they care about you and are good for you, and they are not. You will feel it. Do not dismiss those feelings. Do not dismiss those instructions you received from your mom, your mother goat, whomever gave you those instructions and told you, "No, that's bad. That's bad. Don't do it. This person's not good for you." Those people are not trying to hurt you. If you will know the difference between your mother goat and a wolf. And no matter how hard that wolf tries to look like a mother goat, they will still be a wolf. And they will still want to hurt you and eat you. And I know it sounds obvious, but look at the goats. They thought it was obvious too. They were like, "Yeah, Mom, we know that. Don't worry about us. Don't worry about us. We'll be fine." But they weren't, because they listened, but they didn't hear. They didn't digest. They didn't actually take what... They didn't listen. Even though they might have listened in the sense that sound entered their ears, but not in the sense that they took what was said into them as a lesson. And sometimes those wolves are not obviously wolves. Sometimes it's like the miller, where he knows it's bad. He knows it's bad, but he's scared of getting hurt himself, or he thinks it's fine, so he lets it happen. He doesn't do anything to stop it. So there's that one quote that says, all it takes for evil to proceed and go forth amongst the world is for good men to do nothing. And so sometimes it's not someone actively trying to harm you, it's just someone who's not actively trying to help you. But that being said, there are wolves in this world, but there are also mother goats. There are always going to be people there to help. For every bad, there is good. I would also like to point something out, that sometimes these people, these bad people, use ideas and tools that are similar to the good guys, or the bad guys, whatever. They use tools similar to each other. The mother goat was just as clever as the wolf, getting those stones to put in the wolf's belly. So just because some attribute was used by the bad guys in your life doesn't mean it's necessarily and automatically evil. Just because someone used humor to hurt you doesn't mean that everything funny is bad and that laughter is bad, and it doesn't. And granted, it doesn't necessarily mean that the attribute is automatically good either. Attributes, in my opinion, are neutral. They're like knives. Knives, for example, can be used to hunt things for your well-being or for your harm. They can be used to create shelter in part. They can also be used to stab people and invoke fear. The knife itself is a neutral attribute. However, it is used against you or for you, it can make it a really hard thing to encounter later in the future, but don't judge an attribute based on its one-time use. Now, if it's been like 7 or so uses down the road, maybe look to avoid that attribute for a while and then come back and see if it's redeemed itself from your new life experiences. But just because one person used, for example, like they used I want to help you, I want to need you, but in reality they were like, I think there's something wrong with you, let me fix you. And so then the next time someone says, I want to help you, and it freaks you out, that's normal. And you still need to give that attribute another try, because not everyone, no matter how much it seems that way, especially in today's world when it seems you only read bad news, not everyone's a wolf. There are still some people who are willing to help you. And sometimes it just takes the right circumstances to discover them. And with that, this episode has reached its happily ever after. Turn the page to learn more.